Now then, this is the new Atari VCS console. It's coming to retail this year, but 10,000 Indiegogo backers like me already have their mitts on one. Out of the box, the Atari VCS comes with a compilation of 100 games called Atari VCS Vault. So, what exactly are those games? We're going to go through them right now. Here is the dashboard on the console, and as you can see, I've got a few things on here already, including Atari VCS Vault 2, but that is not our focus in this video. We are going to look at Atari VCS Vault. Two things to note: when I press the button to open this up, I'm going to remove the sequence that leads to the menu screen, and then I'm going to mute the music on the menu screen for YouTube copyright reasons. Let's go. Now, these 100 games fall into two categories. You've got the Atari arcade cabinet games from the arcades back in the day, and then you have the games that were for the home system, the Atari VCS, in cartridge form. If you look along the left hand side, you've got three icons on top of each other. You've got the arcade machine at the top, and then when you press a button you go down to the cartridges. We'll have a look at those later. And then down here you have everything broken up into genres, which is quite interesting. That could be quite useful. Maybe I'll use that, maybe I won't. Anyway, getting back to the games, let's go through them one by one. Liberator, this is I had a quick go on this, and this seems to be a kind of a Star Warsy type game with laser sights in space. Always a pleasure, had a bit of fun with that. And then Lunar Lander, though, I think is more well known. Lunar Lander is a pretty famous Atari game, I would say, and certainly has its fans. I think it's got a bit too much kind of inertia and stuff in it for my liking, if I remember rightly, but nevertheless, Major Havoc is more my sort of game. It's a kind of weird hybrid, actually, of kind of shoot 'em up and platform game or maze game. Yeah, and really nice kind of glowy graphics. And isn't it nice to see these arcade cabinets, by the way, rotating like this? I could sit here and watch these cabinets rotate all day. They look so cool. This interface is pretty good. Millipede. I mean, Millipede. What's not to love about Millipede? Obviously, this is the sequel to Centipede. I'm guessing that Atari thought if we add some more legs to the titular creature, then maybe the game itself will have more legs. Who knows? But anyway, it's a classic game and it's great to have it on here. And here's another arcade behemoth, Missile Command. How amazing. Now, in fairness, there are 100 games on here, and some of them are a bit obscure, and there are too many of one particular genre of game, or at least for my liking. But there's no denying that there are some real arcade big hitters here, and Missile Command is very much one of them, possibly the biggest of the lot, I would say. And so it's compilation. This is probably like the 27th Atari arcade compilation that's been on over the years across different media. Pong. Look at the beauty of this. Look how lovely and cute that cabinet is. I'd like one of those. Yeah, Pong, of course, is one of the very first arcade machines, if not the first. And it's about as simple as you can get. How lovely to have it here. Yeah. Red Baron is a kind of a flying about and shooting up type game, and it's certainly got its fans. It's pretty popular, I think. And then Space Duel. I don't think I've had the pleasure of this one, so I've got no idea what it's like. By the way then, if you see a game here that you absolutely love and you'd like to recommend to me and everyone else who reads the comments, then please do get down in comments and let us know. And likewise, if there are any games here that I really should dodge, then let me know that too. Why don't you? Now look at this beautiful cabinet waiting here in the wings on the right. Yeah, Sprint. I tell you, just seeing this game, especially that black and white screen, really takes me back to the Claremont Pier in Lowestoft in Suffolk, where I grew up, and this machine was definitely there. And I certainly think it's from the kind of the Pong era of games. You can kind of tell by the black and white screen, and the fact that the whole cabinet and the steering wheels and all the rest of it seem to be kind of compensating for the fact that the screen is like monochrome and the game is probably very, very simple indeed. But what a joy. How absolutely lovely. Also lovely is Super Breakout. I mean, who doesn't like a bit of Super Breakout? I know I do. I think most gamers like a bit of Breakout, don't they? As frustrating as it can be, Yeah, so that's great to have that here. Oh, and here's another arcade big hitter, really. Tempest is an unusual type of shooter where you have to navigate around the outside of a circle shooting in, or sort of a rough circle anyway. And yeah, it's a really, in fact, it's not a circle at all by the looks of that, but you know what I mean. I'm sure you've played Tempest, haven't you? Otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this video. Warlords. Yeah, another pretty popular arcade game from Atari, and it was ported for the Atari VCS, of course. Is that port also in this package? You'll have to wait and see in about 4 minutes time, probably. I may have unintentionally lied to you a couple of minutes ago when I said that Missile Command was the biggest arcade game in this collection. I think it might well be Asteroids. I mean, Asteroids, absolutely handsome. What an incredible vector-based game this is. Although, funnily enough, as much as I like vector-type graphics, I mean, I love the Vectrex, for instance, I actually prefer, I think, the home video version for the Atari VCS, the original one, which may also be on this collection. We'll see in a minute. Yeah, that may seem eccentric, preferring the home video version to this arcade original, but, you know, I probably am a bit eccentric. Asteroids Deluxe. Now, I have not had the pleasure of this one. Have you? Let me know in comments. Is it really deluxe? Black Widow. This looks a bit Tempesty. I don't think I've played it, but it kind of has a Tempest type look about it. Whoa, Centipede. How fantastic. Yeah, I encountered one of these cabinets in real life early last year when I visited the Cambridge Centre for Computing History. I actually interviewed the curator there for a video on this channel, and so I'll put a link to that video down in the video description in case you'd like to see that. It's a pretty good interview. He was a really good interviewee. Crystal Castles. Yeah, this is a pretty popular one, and wow, I love this these graphics on the side of the cabinet. Wow, yeah, so colourful, so cute as well. Yeah, Crystal Castles is a lot of fun. It looks a fair bit different, doesn't it, from the average Atari game, and that's no bad thing. Gravatar, I have not played. I think it's another, I might have played it, I think it's another inertia type thing, and so it's not so much for me. You're probably wondering why I like Asteroids. I think Asteroids is probably the only inertia centric game that I like. Do you like Gravatar? Let me know. And now we've come full circle on the arcade game. So we're back at Liberator and we've seen them all. Time then to jump down to the Atari home games that initially turned up in cartridge form. And I love these packages. I mean, this stuff is so nostalgic to me, probably more so, I think, than most of the arcade games. I don't know about you, but this packaging is just absolutely, it's just so exciting. I wonder how exciting it looks now to someone who hasn't got that nostalgic link. But again, I could watch these cartridges just rotate all day for my pleasure. Anyway, Breakout. As I said, everyone likes Breakout. What's not to like? Canyon Bomber. I don't think I've played this one. Have you played Canyon Bomber? Tell me all about it. Casino. How very charming. There's a lot of early Atari games on this compilation which will either delight or appall you. I don't know. I think there's something really charming about the simplicity of these early games, and Casino is no exception. Oh, hey, Centipede is there. Fantastic. Yeah, great to have Centipede here in a couple of forms in the same compilation. Yeah, I don't mind that repetition. That's really cool as far as I'm concerned. Championship Soccer. Now, I'm not into sport at all, and I'm not into sports games at all. I can't think of a single sport game that I like, and so this one isn't for me, but I'm sure it might well be for you. Circus Atari. Look at that charming old-fashioned artwork that probably looked really out of date even in 1980 or whenever this came out. That looks so lovely. I don't know if you can make it out on the screen here, but look at the detail of these scans. You can actually see, I think this Circus Atari game that's been scanned was actually sealed by the looks of it. You can actually see the you know, the cellophane or whatever on the back. You can see, can you see the texture of that? You can also see kind of dents on some of these boxes as well. That's how high res some of these scans are. CODEBREAKER. I have not played this, but again, it looks like one of those really early, really simple games that apparently use the numerical pads, which were the kind of, I think, the third method of control after joystick and paddle. That looks like Nick Jenkin there on the cover, doesn't it? The popular YouTube retro gamer. I like Nick Jenkin a lot. He's very funny, and he's just a really upbeat game player. So check out his channel. I'll put a link down below. Combat. This, of course, is the game you got free with the original Atari VCS, so it seems quite appropriate you get it free with the Atari VCS in 2021 or 2020 if you got this before Christmas like me. That's a different cover from the one I remember. I guess that might have been a re-release cover. Combat 2 is here as well, just in case you didn't have enough of the 27 different variants that were in the original Combat game. Crystal Castles, here's the home video port of the arcade machine that we just saw, and that looks pretty cute actually. Those graphics don't look too bad at all for the Atari VCS. Now this cover, I always loved this cover and the title, Demons to Diamonds. It's a great title. It really sort of sparks your imagination. And the game isn't too bad either, I think. I'm going to have to revisit that. It's a nice little shooter. And yeah, I love this. In fact, I really want to own this cartridge in that box. It's so lovely. It just looks great. Desert Falcon, I think, is... In fact, I've got no idea what type of game this is. Will I have any more idea when I have a look at this? You are a Royal Desert Falcon questing for... is it a Raiders of the Lost Ark type game? Let me know in comments. I'd love to hear what you think of Desert Falcon and what you know about it. Dodgem, once again, is quite an old Atari game, I think. And I don't remember playing it, but I'm definitely going to play it. I find the early games, like I said, just really kind of enchanting. And they take you back to literally simpler times, like this channel tries to do. Oh, look out, it's a basketball game. I'll be having none of that, thank you, but obviously of interest to a lot of people. Fatal Run is obviously it looks a bit like a moon buggy type game on the front, but I think it's a fairly standard kind of driving game there. Yeah, driving games aren't my favourites, but they're okay every once in a while. Flag Capture, look at the swashbuckling madness in that artwork on the cover there. Yes. Flag Capture. I've got no idea what that's all about, but I suspect it's like you probably put it on and expecting pirates and stuff, and it's just like a grid of like 10 by 10 squares, and you have to move around the grid, and each move takes about 10 seconds to do. That's just my guess, you know. Football, oh dearie me. No, I won't be having any of that, but I'll let you see the back of that. That's beautiful. I'm happy to see the back of it myself. As we move on to golf. Golf is vaguely more interesting to me, but generally golfing games aren't exactly the most thrilling things in the world. Ah, Gravatar, our old friend Gravatar. We just saw that, didn't we? Upstairs in the arcade machine department. Actually, that looks quite interesting there. Yeah, I will have a go on that. And I have played Hangman. That is exactly as you'd expect. It's just very simple, but Hangman is kind of a fun game. There's lots of different skill levels, and you know, you can have a two-player game as well. That's pretty cool actually. Haunted House is a real nostalgic one for me. It's one of those games where I'm not sure if I ever actually got it when I was a kid, but I always wanted it, and it's right up my street really, isn't it? In case this is your first visit to the channel, my name's Jason Arnott. I'm an author of scary novels such as Ghoster and The Last Days of Jack Sparks. I've also written for the world of Doctor Who, both in the fiction and non-fiction departments. There's more stuff about my writing down in the video description if you fancy that. I don't know if I ever properly worked out how to play Haunted House, but I think now is the time. Still, Haunted House is here and I'm happy about that. Home Run. Baseball. Again, lots of people will enjoy that, I'm sure, for 1 or 2 players. Human Cannonball. That's a lot of fun, isn't it? That's definitely from the original range of games, I think. I haven't played that. I don't remember playing it, but I'd imagine it's a delightfully simple game. Maze Craze. Now, I always liked the look of Maze Craze as well, but I don't think I ever got this one as a kid. And having played it, I think I might have been disappointed with it as a kid. As much as I love a good maze game, I don't think this one quite lives up to the cover art, but I will give it another chance. Also, let's hear it as well for the way that Atari very cunningly put 16 video games, or in the case of Space Invaders, over 100 video games on the cover of some of their cartridges, when in fact it was kind of mostly just kind of variants and kind of different calibrations, like difficulty levels and stuff. Yeah, that was very clever marketing from Atari there. Here's the home video version of Millipede. Happy to see that. Fantastic stuff. That looks very colourful, doesn't it? And then Miniature Golf. Now, Miniature Golf, is that the American version of Crazy Golf? I'm not sure. I don't really know what miniature golf is. Do you get miniaturized? Do you have to go into a machine and be miniaturized, and then you get put on a tiny golf course the size of a pinhead? I don't know. Missile Command, there it is. The Atari home video version of Missile Command. And as I remember, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. Night Driver is also pretty fun, actually. As much as I don't love driving games, I have pretty good memories of this one. It's just as basic a driving game as you can get, I think. Off the Wall, I don't know very much about. That's terrible cover artwork there. I can't help but notice that. Blazing Brickbats and Blackbirds. Try saying that after a few shandies. Is it a kung fu game? Or at least that's a different kind of genre. You don't get many kung fu games on the Atari VCS, do you? Outlaw, I've never played this, but I think I can picture it, and it's kind of a sort of a port of one of those really old arcade games where you have two cowboys on a screen shooting at each other, isn't it? Let me know if you like Outlaw. Pong Sports, yeah, various sports all in one game. Fair enough, yeah, that's great if you like that type of thing. And look at all those different games and presumably variations on the back there. That's pretty good. Quadron, it's fun times 4. Up to 4 players, I'm guessing, is it? I don't know much about this one. Oh, it says 1 player actually on the back. Looks interesting, I'll give that a go. Race, it's simply called Race. A whole bunch of guys, let's face it, probably was guys back then, sat in a meeting room and decided to call their driving game Race. Incredible work, fellas. Radar Lock. Yes, yes. Is that like some kind of flying through the sky? And yeah. In case you're trying to read the text on the back of these cartridges, they're not always in focus. They're not always readable, even on the monitor screen. So, yeah. Oh, now we have quite a run of sports games, I think. So you've got Real Sports Baseball here. Real Sports Basketball. That looks quite nice, actually, doesn't it? Boxing. Not a big fan of boxing, although I did become obsessed as a kid with Frank Bruno's boxing for the ZX Spectrum. For some reason, I love that game. I think I quite like the way that it kind of kept you playing because you really wanted to get to the next opponent. Football, Real Sports. My goodness me, there's a lot of football on here. Football, Real Sports Soccer, Real Sports Tennis, Real Sports Volleyball, and then a bit of respite as we return to Haunted House. Now, as I understand it, this game is a homebrew game which has been included, which is pretty cool. I don't know anything about Return to Haunted House, except I can only imagine it's along similar lines as the original. Likewise, well, I know even less about Save Mary, so no idea what that is. Have you played Save Mary? Have you tried to save Mary? Let me know. Secret Quest. I tried to play this earlier and I couldn't get it to work, so that was a bit odd. I'll keep trying though, because that looks like my kind of thing. It looks a bit like Attic Attack, doesn't it, for the ZX Spectrum. Sentinel, I know nothing about. Let's see if we can get an idea from the back. No. Locate and absorb energy. You're a scientist. No, I'm no further forward. Have you played Sentinel? Is it worth me playing, or should I give it a swerve? Skydiver. I did play that the other day, and it's exactly as you'd expect. You're a parachutist who has to kind of guide yourself. You jump out of a plane and then guide yourself towards a platform on the ground, and it's a fun way to spend 5 minutes. Look at this one. This looks like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's got like an autograph on the front, that particular cartridge. Slot machine games are kind of cute. They're technically ridiculous because you can't actually win any money, but I think they're good fun. I like a fruit machine anyway. Slot Racers looks like another driving game for 2 players. This one, I haven't had a go on this, but I'm sure it's fun. 9 variations on that. Space War is a pretty popular Atari arcade game, I think, isn't it? This is a port of the Atari arcade game, if I'm not mistaken. Sprint Master, more driving games for petrol heads. Yeah. Start your engines, shrieks the back cover. And then we have Star Raiders, which was a pretty big deal, wasn't it, as an Atari VCS game for that original console. And it kind of came with its own controller. I've actually got Star Raiders, and it's a really fat box because it contains an actual controller in the box. That was a big old number, wasn't it? Starship. This looks interesting. It says Starship, Warp Drive and Lunar Lander. So is that literally 3 different games in there? If so, that's pretty good value, isn't it? I'm going to investigate that. Let me know, as always, if you're particularly enthused about this or whether it's terrible. Steeplechase Action Racing. That could be fun, I suppose. That looks like it could be quite cute. Stellar Track is a strategic space combat game. I wasn't aware of this. Yeah, this is a new one to me. Oh, a spaceship game, destroying alien spaceships. Yeah, I'm in. Sold. Street Racer, another driving game, as you can probably tell. You probably don't need me to interpret that for you. Lots of different games in there by the looks of it. That's good. Stunt Cycle. Looks like a later game, judging by the packaging. I've got no idea. I mean, obviously I can imagine what that one's all about. Probably jumping off a ramp and over a load of cars or something like that. Submarine Commander. This seems like a more obscure game. It's great that there's some obscure games on here. Tele Games label. It's got some special features listed on the front, like radar, sonar, and what was it? Depth charge indicators. Well, see, I wouldn't have wanted to play it if it didn't have depth charge indicators, but thank God it does. More baseball? I don't think we really need more baseball, to be honest. Super Breakout. Yeah, it's like Breakout, but super. And there's another allegedly super game here, Super Football. At my count, that's about 4 football games on this. But of course, if you love football, then that's like a wealth of joy, isn't it? Surround. Yeah, this is basically like Snake, isn't it? The game that sort of became known as Snake on the BlackBerry and whatnot. Yeah, Surround is a lot of fun. I suppose you could imagine it as being a Tron game if you were so inclined. Racing around and trying to avoid and also entomb the other biker. Now there's some SWORDQuest games here. There's at least 3 of these, and I don't know anything about them. Are they all kind of adventure type games? Let me know what you think about these SWORDQuest games. It looks like there was some kind of cash prize at some point associated with these games. FIREWORLD, this one is called. I see, so they're elemental. And then you have Waterworld there to complete what seems to be a trilogy, although if they are named after the elements, I would imagine there might have been a 4th game. Maybe the 3rd one didn't do so well. Oh, Tempest. Now, I must admit, I didn't know that Tempest was adapted for the home system. I wonder what that's like. I can't imagine it must have been very easy to adapt the arcade version of Tempest for the Atari. Video Checkers, or Drafts as it's known over here in the UK. I've played this game. But it was enjoyable. I haven't played Video Chess yet, but I can only imagine that it probably takes about 60 seconds between each move. Oh, the days of 8K games. But I mean, you've got to hand it to the programmers back then, haven't you? Because they made these games and they're about, what were they, like 8K, 8 kilobytes? You know, most of our emails these days are more than 8 kilobytes. That's astonishing. Moving on, we have some video pinball. Bit of pinball's always a bit of fun, isn't it? I'm not sure how realistic the movement of the ball is going to be in this, but then again, the ball is pretty good in Breakout and Super Breakout, so there's hope. There's hope yet for us all. And here we are. Here's the home version of Warlords. I don't think I've ever played Warlords, but I know it's very popular. A game I have, however, played is Yar's Revenge. Yes, look at that. Now, Yar's Revenge is surely one of the most unique games ever released for the Atari. It's not an obvious clone of any arcade game. It's not a clone of any kind of home computer game. It's just really original, and it's also a lot of fun. I think Yar's Revenge must have done very well for the Atari because it was a bit of a unique selling point, wasn't it? I don't think you could get Yar's Revenge for any other console. 3D tic-tac-toe. Bit of noughts and crosses, anyone? Yeah, I reckon that would be a bit of fun, wouldn't it? And you can play it as one player as well. That's nice. Concentration. Now, what's this? Hunt and score. A game of concentration. It uses the number pads, although I'm assuming, obviously, you can play it with the joystick. By the way, in case you're unaware, this joystick doubles as a paddle. You can actually sort of rotate the actual stick and it becomes a paddle. I didn't realize this until I saw a YouTube video made by someone the other day, and I was delighted. Anyway, I can't wait any longer because adventure is waiting in the wings. Look at adventure. I mean, look at that box. I'd really like to get a completely mint version of this game, like the box in really nice condition, because it's just such an absolute icon for me. I've made at least one video about adventure. I did a gameplay video about it, and I'll put a link to that downstairs in the video description. I could watch that rotate literally all day. Air Sea Battle. It looks like there's quite a lot of different games in that. Maybe it's kind of like another sort of combat style game where there really are sort of different games, and it's not just variations like difficulty levels and stuff. But anyway, look, we can't hang around with Air Sea Battle when Asteroids is waiting to be mooned over. Asteroids, yeah, I like a bit of Asteroids. Who doesn't like that? Atari Video Cube. What a great way to craftily make a game based on the Rubik's Cube, but call it the Atari Video Cube. Not a rip-off at all. I bet that's a bit of fun, a bit of amusement, as is this, I'm sure. I've never worked out how to play backgammon, but that's got to be fun, I expect. Basic math. If you need a bit of a bit of a primer on maths, or you have a young child, then this is just the ticket. Oh dear. Basketball. Another game of basketball. And then a bit more casino type action with blackjack. Bowling. Another early game. Steerable balls. Always nice. Who doesn't like having a steerable ball? Brain games. Yeah, I mean, you've got to hand it to them. There's a lot of variety on this compilation. You might quibble with some of the games, you might not be into all the games, and that's inevitable for any compilation, but I do think it's a pretty decent compilation, especially as I think the retail price of this compilation, not that that means much when it comes with the console, but I think it's like a $5 compilation. And actually the second compilation costs $5, although it has a few fewer games. I think it's something more like 76 games or something. If you want to see me show you the games in that compilation, Atari VCS Vault 2, then get down in comments. And also, if you wouldn't mind, tell your friends, your Atari loving friends, about this video, because if this video is suitably well received, I'll do more. And I'll also do a review video telling you how I like this console in the final analysis. We're back to Breakout again. So that's all the games. Now then, here you can see a list of some of my Patreon backers, amazing people who support this channel. Elsewhere on the screen you can see videos that you might want to carry on watching on this channel. Thank you for watching this one. I hope to see you next time, and until then, don't forget to embrace your obsession.